All right. Here we are. Welcome, everyone, to the Ultimate Book Club of Book Clubs. I've been holding this for my last few releases, and it's been really, really fun. So we get to come back and do it again. I can see we've got a few people who have joined us. It always takes just a minute for everyone to find the stream, but this is really exciting. This whole idea began with my first release that I had after everything started to shut down in 2020 and book clubs couldn't get together and I couldn't meet with people because we were all sort of isolated, and it was a way for people to get together for an enormous book club. And we have people who tune into these from all over the world. So it's really pretty fun. Hopefully you have gathered with your book club or your book club of one and are ready to have some fun tonight. A few quick housekeeping things. As you can see by the banner scrolling along on the bottom, this is not going to be a spoiler-free discussion tonight. So if you haven't read the book and you're concerned about spoilers, this will be posted after we're done that you can view indefinitely. So once you get around to finishing the book, you can pop in and join us. Throughout the night, we're going to play games. I have some really, really fantastic prizes that I'm getting to give away tonight. There's going to be a question and answer toward the end where you can ask questions about the book or, just whatever is piquing your interest at the moment. Unlike some book clubs where the people get together to discuss what they didn't like about a book or what they think ought to have been changed about it, that's not what we're discussing here tonight. We're just going to be having fun talking about this book and this series and kind of anything y'all want to ask about when we get to that point. So I can see we've got people checking in on the side. Let me know where they're checking in from. I'm going to go ahead and start out the one thing that we do every single time I do Ultimate Book Club is a book club roll call. Let me know that your book club is checking in. If you're a book club of one, that's great. Let me know you're here. And I ask this because I always draw a winner during these Ultimate Book Clubs. A book club that will win a visit from me to their book club. We can get together for a future book that comes out. We can just get together to talk about them all. These are usually done over Zoom. It makes it easier, not only for me, but makes it possible for people who don't live in short proximity to me. So check in, let me know if your book club has a name, pop it in there. If it's just you, you let me know that. Whatever you'd like to tell me. I will be drawing some of tonight's prizes will be drawn live, and they'll be awarded to people in the comment section as we go. Some of them will be announced Thursday morning, so that's a little over a day from now. So if you're coming at this later, you still have a chance to win some of our prizes. And this book club visit winner will be announced on Thursday morning. So keep an eye out for that. I have my glass of shrub at the ready, which I've made a tradition ever since Charming Artemis, because shrub just makes me happy. So hopefully you and your book club of 1, 2, 3, 4, however many it is, are also enjoying something fun tonight. So that gets us to the point where I get to let you know some of the prizes that we're doing tonight. As always, I will have prizes awarded at random to anyone who comments on this video. 2 of them I'm going to award here in just a second. And those commenters are going to win a sticker pack, which also includes 2 Gents and Lily of the Valley bookmarks. And these fantastic stickers that were given out as part of the limited edition pre-order bundle through Seagull Book. And stickers that I had commissioned by really fantastic artists. This is Kess and Violet from this book, and Lucas and Julia from Forget Me Not, and a sticker of all the gents together, including Stanley, of course. Especially after reading this book, you know why Stanley has to be in the gents grouping. But these are some fantastic stickers. The artist I commissioned them from had the amazing idea of doing them in the style of 18th century French fashion plates. Like, how perfect is that? So those are fantastic. I'm going to give away 2 of those. And I'm going to draw those people at random right now, which means I'm just going to scroll through the comments and wherever it stops. So we have Allison First who has checked in. She says she's part of the Ladies Literary Society. So Allison, I'm going to write your name down so I don't forget that you won one of our sticker packs. And we're going to scroll again until we get someone. And Carol C., who is joining us on YouTube. I have you down as well. I will post your names as part of the prize announcements on Thursday, but if you think of it before then, you can send me a message on my social media and I'll get those to you. Also, throughout the night, keep commenting because I will have another sticker pack that'll be awarded to someone, and that will be announced on Thursday, chosen at random, and also chosen at random from everyone who comments on this stream. I've put together a fun bundle of books. Covenant Communications sent me this copy of Facing the Enemy by Paige Edwards. It just came out earlier this month, so this is brand new, and I thought it would be fun, rather than just a book, that I create a Paige Edwards bundle. So I went and grabbed a copy of Danger on the Lock, which she released last year. It received absolutely amazing reviews, lots and lots of love for this book. So I'm putting together this Paige Edwards bundle, and that's going to be a giveaway to someone who comments in the comment section on this video. That'll be announced Thursday. So keep those comments coming, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So here we go. You guys ready for our first game of the night? Here we go. I'm going to start out with a game that is a trivia question. I'm going to ask you a trivia question and watch to see who can get it right. I will be drawing or selecting at random a winner right here on this stream. So I'll give you just a few minutes to think about it. The trivia question is, can you name at least 2 characters that are mentioned or appear in Lily of the Valley that are also part of Courting Miss Lancaster? One of my most favorite things about writing this book was all of the Easter eggs that got to show up, because I have known they were coming since Courting Miss Lancaster came out in 2010. So 12 years I've been waiting for these Easter eggs, and I finally got to toss them in. So if you know the answer to that question and can think of at least 2, and I'm telling you there are more than 2, but at least 2, pop them in the comment section, and we will pick a winner of that in just a bit. I'll give you a chance to put your answers in. And as I always say, if you aren't sure because maybe you haven't read Courting Miss Lancaster yet, you are welcome to steal someone else's answer. That's what I do. So pop those in there. I'm watching the answers come in. I love seeing that people picked up on things. So fabulous. Yeah, people caught onto those Easter eggs. This one was fun, and I knew it was coming for a really long time. The Gent series is the generation preceding the Lancasters and the Jonquils. So we're back like 20 years from Seeking Persephone and 21 years from Courting Miss Lancaster. But the fun thing about that is the people who are children in Forget Me Not and Lily of the Valley are adults by the time we get to the Lancaster series. So that's been really fun, especially because I know where they're all from. So when I have a story set in that area of the country, I know who's going to be there. And that's really, really, really fun. So, all right, I'm seeing lots and lots of answers come in. And I'm going to pick someone at random. Here we go. All right, so I scrolled, and the one I came to was just one answer. So I told you it had to be 2, so I got to scroll again. Okay, I've got Christy Twitchell, who answered Dalforth and Handley, and those are 2 of the people. We have Charles Dalforth, who you will remember was the decent guy who showed an interest in, oh, you know what I'm looking, it's Kirsty Twitchell. Sorry about that, Kirsty. Kirsty Twitchell. Charles Dalforth was the kind of decent guy who was sort of pseudo-courting Athena for a while in that book, but not totally seriously. He's the one who first figured out what Harry was up to. Good guy. We get to see him as a little kid in this book, which is really fun. Handley, she mentions we have Mr. Jonas Handley and his mother, Mrs. Handley. You'll remember they were the ones who took Athena for that unbelievably uncomfortable carriage ride in Courting Miss Lancaster. You get to see the roots of that super unhealthy mother-child relationship in this book, which was really, really fun. Other people that people came up with on here, Adam, Duke of Kildare, is hinted at in this book. Kester mentions that Julia and Lucas were spending time with the Harrow set. That's Adam. He was at Harrow at that time. Sort of at Harrow at that time. That's kind of an interesting backstory there. So that's in there. Let's see. How else do we have in here? Sir Hubert Collington, we get to meet his mother, and he gets hinted at in this book. He gets mentioned. He was one of the really terrible ones in Courting Miss Lancaster. So they're in there. There were a bunch. Kimberly wants to know if we're ever going to get Dalforth's story. That's my plan. So everyone cross your fingers. There's such a long list of like side characters that I'd like to write their stories, and I don't know if I'm going to get to them all, but that is the plan. So Kirsty, the prize that you won, and I'm really kind of excited about it. I found these really super cute Lily of the Valley earrings. Aren't those just lovely? I wish you could see them in person. They're super, super cute. So those are going to go to Kirsty. And Kirsty, I will put your name on the list of people who won prizes when I post it on Thursday. But if you think of it before then, you're welcome to message me on social media and I'll get those to you. So I have now a bonus question. And this one, the winner will be drawn tomorrow. The winner will get a signed copy of Lily of the Valley. If you already have it and it's signed, we can always sign it to someone else. You can give it as a gift. But I have that's going to go out. And the question is... let me peek over here. There is a character in Lily of the Valley that is mentioned in As You Are. Can you name that character? And I don't mean Philip. Literally, it's a character who is mentioned in As You Are, not one who appears in the book. So be thinking of that one. That's a bonus one. I'll draw that winner Thursday morning. So think about that one. All right. So that got us through our trivia. We've done our book club roll call. If you haven't mentioned your book club. Okay, people are putting in the comments Finley. I have to tell you right now, that's not correct because the Finley in Lily of the Valley is the father of the Finley we know in the Jonquil series. So it is someone else. So be thinking. And again, it's someone who is only mentioned in As You Are. So keep that in mind. All right. Let's see. So what is next? Oh, I'm going to share with you a little bit of research that I got to do for this book, which I'm really excited about because there was so much and it was really, really fun. So again, I've warned you that there is plenty of spoilers in this and they're going to start right now. You know, in this book that a lockbox is delivered to Kess because it has his name etched into the side of it. And they spend a good portion of this book trying to get this lockbox open, trying to figure out who it belonged to. And I did so much research into lockboxes of the 1700s, the 18th century, and there's so much out there. And I was just going to share with you a few that I came across. Right here, this is a lockbox, or sometimes they were called a strong box. This one was called a document box as well because it was a little bit smaller. It was meant to carry documents. This is about the size, I imagined, the one in Lily of the Valley. This was from that time period. This one comes from the mid 18th century. And this is what it looked like. Here's another one that has, to me, kind of the patina, kind of the way the one in the Lily of the Valley looked, although the size of the other one, it's that metal side. It's been kind of worn and weathered, which is why it took so long to figure out what was scratched into the side of it. But like the one in the Lily of the Valley, it has the key on the top. And I was going to share a picture of some of the interior, the mechanisms that locked these boxes inside. They were so intricate and so really, really interesting. But I forgot to upload that. But that's a couple of ideas of kind of what that lockbox looked like. I found some that were specifically military lockboxes, which was really an interesting twist on it because we know that the one Kess receives came off of a military ship and belonged to Stanley when he was a soldier. So that was really fun to kind of get a feeling for what those lock boxes looked like and how they worked and how they operated. And you can still find some now in museums and in collections and such. Another thing I got to do a lot of research into was prosthetics, and that was fascinating. I can't share with you all of the research I did into that because there was so much. But in the story, Kess mentions to Violet that he came across the story of a man from I wrote it down so I wouldn't get it wrong, from the 1500s. And that man is this man here, a real person. It wasn't someone that I invented. He's known as Iron Fist. He lost his hand and wrist and the lower part of his forearm in battle, and miraculously survived that. A lot of people died of infection after injuries like that, but he survived, and they made for him a prosthetic hand made of iron. But as Kess mentions, his hand could be articulated. It could move. The fingers could move and close and be held in place, which was something Violet was really hoping for. But even though this had been in existence, over 200 years before our story takes place, most people in England who had prosthetic limbs had just simple wooden ones. There wasn't the articulating fingers and the movable parts. As I researched because I wanted to make sure there was a basis for movable limbs and fingers that were prosthetic at this time, I got to see pictures of basically what that was. You can see how it attached to the arm. The mechanism here that moved the fingers is that little key that gets wound, and the fingers themselves can turn. But even better than that, they actually have diagrams of how it functioned, all of the parts inside and what made it move and how it moved around. As you know from reading it, there was concern about how heavy the prosthesis would be. And so obviously Violet's wasn't made of iron, but there was historical precedent for a prosthesis that was movable in the way she was hoping for. So that was really fascinating to research. I ended up researching clear into the Victorian era and some of the things that changed as they moved even 100 years past this book. And it was super fascinating to see how things progressed. So that was another area I got to do some research in. And as you know from reading this, one of the things they discover in that lockbox, that strong box, was that Stanley was attempting to figure out how to better light the road for carriages. That was something that was really important to him. So I got to do a little bit of research into that. In the book, I wrote it down again so I wouldn't forget. It's on page 111. Julia tells Kess, I found a volume in here. They're in his book room, his library, a few days ago that analyzes the chemical aspects of fire. So Julia, as we all know, is pretty academic. She likes to learn things. She's been reading a book about fire because of course she has. And the book she's referencing is a real one, and it's a real one I've been able to read as part of this. And this is the cover page of that book. You can see why I didn't include the entire title, because the book would have been twice as long. The title of the book is Fire Analyzed, or The Several Parts of Which It Is Compounded, Clearly Demonstrated by Experiments, the Teutonic Philosophy Proved True by the Same Experiments, and the Manner and Method of Making Electricity, Medicinal and Healing, Confirmed by a Variety of Cures. It's such a long title, but it was a really fascinating book. And it helped me know what was known at this time about the properties of fire and flame, and their entire sections about light and the amount of light that's put out. So I pulled the information they went on from that actual book that she was reading. And then I found another book about carriages, and there's a whole section in it that talks about the ways in which they lit carriages and recent improvements in carriage lanterns. This book was actually published in the 1790s, which I did on purpose because I wanted to see what was a new development in the lighting of carriages 5 to 10 years after this book takes place, because that's what I wanted Kess to be aiming toward. And I wanted it to be within the realm of possibility that he would come up with that. So I got to do some really fascinating research for this book. I often joke that research is my favorite part of writing. I think it's one of them, at least. Lots of comments about how long that title was, right? It was so long. That's why I had her just say, "A fascinating book about fire," because I couldn't fit the whole thing in, it's so long. Um, so that's just some of the research that went into this. I got to do so much um, about the ancestor that the Ridley family is so interested in learning more about, and sort of his life and who he was, because he was a real person, and so that was fun to do and to figure out what he did and what his life was about. And so many things. I could probably do an entire book club just about the research that I did. But Jakendra says I'm like Julia, always learning. It's probably why that I gave Julia that character trait, because I love to learn things. I just think it's fascinating. So there you go. There's some research. In case you had any doubt that I spent way too much time researching for this book, but it's so much fun. I'm working on another book right now that has involved a lot of research, and that's been really fun too. All right. So now I have a question for you guys. I'm going to draw a winner again. This time, this will be another. Oh, someone is excited. Julia Allen is excited at book club about research. It could get super nerdy. I feel like I'd have to warn you about that. I'm going to do a giveaway again. And the way you're going to enter this, I'm going to draw it live right here, just at random. The question I'm going to ask is, aside from the main couple, so Kes and Violet, and aside from Julia and Lucas, because they kind of got, their time in the sun, who was a favorite character that you had in this book? Not your most favorite, not your only favorite, just a favorite character. And while you're posting that in the comments, I'm going to let you know what the prize is going to be. I had a little bit too much fun at Seagull Book getting prizes for tonight. And I picked out this one because I think you guys will love it if you haven't had a chance to read it yet. It's Forever Phoebe. It's been out for a little while, but I think it deserves the love. So this is going to be the prize to one lucky winner, randomly selected from the comments. Oh, I'm seeing love for a lot of people, for Violet's mom and for Georgie and for Henri and Digby. Isn't Digby hilarious? I love that guy. Yeah, so many. Yay. Oh, yay. I love seeing that you guys enjoyed some of the supporting characters. They were really, really fun to write. Both those that were new, like Georgie and Mrs. Ridley, and those we're seeing again, some of the other gents. Really, really fun. And in the general, we got some too. I have to tell you one thing about writing any book that has Digby in it. He has a tendency, because he's a little dramatic, to take over moments that he's in. So I often have to tell him to kind of calm down, to just, stand back and look gorgeous for a minute while some other people talk, because that's just him. Sorry. I'm laughing. Carissa says if I do a research book club, I'd have to have the banner on the bottom saying, warning, this could get really nerdy. It's really true. The deeper I delve into the research I do, the more nerdy it gets. Oh, someone liked seeing Philip in this book. Right? Wasn't that fun? When I knew the timing was going to work out, I was so excited, because I wanted you to get to meet him when he first arrives on the scene, as you will. All right. I am going to. Allison says she enjoyed the part where Julia and Violet were talking about how hot Digby was. That gets talked about a lot because he really, really was, like, shockingly handsome. So that's kind of fun to bring up regularly. Oh, baby Philip. Yes, people enjoyed that. Wasn't that fun? I was almost positive it would work out, not in terms of timing, because I always knew this happened during this house party, but how much time within the book could be dedicated to that moment was a little bit in question, because you don't ever want to shift focus off of the main part of the story. But it worked out and it made sense, and I was so glad, because Philip, aw. All right. Okay, I'm going to scroll randomly to pick someone who said their favorite character to win Forever Phoebe. So scroll. Okay. All right. So this is going to oh, well, that one wasn't a comment on what we're talking about, so I get to scroll again. Okay. All right. We have Esther Dye, who has commented on Facebook. She said that a favorite character of hers in here was Henri, who is a pretty great guy, right? Wasn't it kind of fun to get to know him a little bit better? Because he's a little bit quieter, or I guess maybe not quite as flashy. He's not necessarily quiet, but you know, he tends to fade a little bit into the background. So it was fun to let you guys get to know him a little more. So Esther, that one's going to you. As I said before, I will make sure and list you in our list of winners on Thursday in case you missed it or forgot to message me, but you're welcome to message me whenever you'd like. So, all right. Okay. Oh, it's so fun to see how much you guys enjoyed it. Whitney says Digby's comment about teaching Philip to be more fashionable than his dad had me cracking up. Isn't that hilarious? Like to see those little moments where you understand the gap between then and when we see Philip later, kind of what happened between those years. So fantastic. All right. Okay. Here we go. So we've done our favorite character. I've shared some research. We've done some trivia. I think it's time to play another game. I'm going to do a preview of an upcoming book that I have. And that book is The Holly and the Ivy. This I have a story in this Christmas collection coming out in October. I had to think for a minute. I have so many books toward the end of the year. I have a story in this collection, which is actually part of the Gents series. And so it's fun to be able to highlight it tonight. So the game we're going to play, I'm going to read you a very short excerpt from that story. And to enter, I want you to put in the comments who you think the two people speaking are and who is the third person they're talking about. I think it'll be really easy to guess, but pop those in there. I'm going to do a live drawing for this one. So someone who comments now while I'm doing it, I got to reach over to my table of prizes, and that person will win a copy of the 2021 Christmas Anthology. And this prize was also provided by Covenant Communications, the publisher. So that person's going to win that. So let me read it. Here you go. Okay, so here's our excerpt. He whispered, "I've never walked on a mountain before. What if I'm rubbish at it?" She took his hands. Hers were so soft. Were all ladies' hands soft? The first time I ever walked on a mountain was with him. She dipped her head toward the other person in the room. And it was on this same mountain. I'm certain I was rubbish at it, but he didn't mind in the least. He loves being on that mountain, and he is excessively fond of company. He won't mind if you walk slowly or uncertainly. He'll simply be happy to be with you in a place he enjoys. No one is ever happy to be with me. So there are two people speaking in that scene, and they are talking about someone else. Can you tell me who those three people are? All right. Oh, I am seeing a lot of people who absolutely knew who it was. Isn't that fun? It was so fun to write this. Those of you, because you're here because you read Lily of the Valley, you know there's a moment at the very beginning when Kester is talking about all of the things that have been happening in the last year and kind of how tired he is. He mentions that Julia and Lucas had a get together with someone from Harrow being the boys' boarding school. And what Kes is referencing is this book, the story that's connected here. So you're going to get to actually read what that visit was and how it went and everything. So, all right. So a lot of people guessed correctly is Julia and Adam are talking, and they're talking about Lucas. And guys, it's so sweet to see them together. And we get to know Nurse Robbie. This is her story. We get to know her and, you know, the influence that she had on him and where life took her and all that. So it's really, 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 really fantastic. So lots of people got that right. I'm going to do another quick spin through the comments to randomly select someone to win. I have so many things on my desk to win this collection, and that is going to be spin. Oh, Carissa, who has commented on YouTube. So I'm going to write down your name so I don't forget. My dog is in here. Many of you met him while watching the reading of Mysteries of London during the early parts of lockdown. So you're going to hear him jumping up and down. He's starting to get impatient. All right. So that was a fun little preview. I hope that gets you even more excited about The Holly and the Ivy. It was really fun to write. I was hoping I'd have a chance to write it, and I did, which is great. All right. So next we have, this one's fun. I can tell I have an agenda over here. So I have a guessing game for you guys that I'm going to draw a winner of on Thursday morning. And the winner will win as their prize their name or a variation on it. I'll work with you to figure out how it can work in this particular time and setting, but your name in the next Gent's book. Ooh, it could be your name. It could be a friend's name. It could be a place name. It could be a lot of different things. So that is the prize. And the way to enter is to leave your guess in the comments about which gent you think will get the next book. So pop those in there. You can make that comment or that guess anytime you want. I'm trying to think how to differentiate it from who your favorite side character was. Maybe just put next gent and then put your guess. But I'll go back through the comments to post on Thursday morning. And that's when I also will tell you what the answer is. So put in your guesses. Woohoo, I'm going to have a little shrub. While you're putting those in, we got another preview that we're going to do because I have a busy rest of 2022. You also know that in November, I have this book coming out. It's the very first book in the Huntresses series. We have The Best Laid Plans, which is sort of a companion novella, a preview novella. But this one really launches off the series. So I'm going to give you a little preview from this book as well. Ooh. And that is another one I'm going to post the winner of that. I'll draw from amongst everyone who guesses correctly. I'll do that on Thursday. And that person will win a Huntresses bundle, which is a paperback copy, an arc of The Best Laid Plans. This won't be available in paperback until August, as well as an arc of The Best Intentions. So you get that bundle for guessing correctly. So I'm going to read you an excerpt from that book. And your challenge is, tell me who. I mentioned on my Teaser Tuesday today, and it's been mentioned as I've read the back cover of this book, that the hero of this book is Scott Sarvel, who we first meet in The Heart of a Vicar. He's the brother of Sarah Sarvel. And he's the hero of this. So in this scene, this is our opening scene with Scott. He's talking to someone, and I want you to tell me who he's talking to. Now, here's the thing. If you don't get this right, I will be really shocked, because by the end, at least, it's obvious. So I wanted to make this prize a little bit easier. How's that? So here you go. Who is he talking to? She hooked a silver eyebrow upward. He'd never before met someone whose eyebrows were entirely gray, but whose hair was not. She had told him once that it was a trait she had inherited from her father. Imagine, Scott, if you put your knack for flowery words to use in courting someone, you'd have all the young ladies in the kingdom clinging to your every word. Until they realized he was clinging to his every penny, then they too would realize he was a born failure. I suspect you mean to ask if I would accompany you on a journey to the north, Scott said, to wherever it is you've arranged to meet up with the Duke of Kildare. When you and Sarah first moved here, she said, we spoke of traveling, but then Sarah went and got married and ruined the entire thing. He could not help a laugh. She married one of your sons. Yes, and I have not yet forgiven him for interfering with my travel plans. So there you go. Who is Scott talking to? Who could it be? So pop that guess in there. Let me know Scott is talking to, and I will draw a winner of that Huntresses bundle. That prize winner will be announced Thursday along with the others. So there you go. Yeah. I'm looking in the comments and people are basically like, they're not saying it, but you can sense the duh in there. So I gave you some big clues there. And I'm I'm so excited for that book too. It's really gets to launch this whole new set of books. I'm so excited for you to get to know the Huntresses. They are really, really fun. And because Artemis is sort of their head, we get to see Artemis and Charlie throughout this series, which is going to be really, 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 really fun. All right. Now you will remember that I mentioned if you joined us for the launch party at the beginning of the month or happened to be on my social media yesterday, that we're going to play the emoji game here tonight. The emoji game is really easy. I ask people to comment on a post on my social media describing for me or giving me clues entirely in emojis about one of my books to see if I can guess what they are. I have grabbed at random emojis that were submitted. I haven't looked at them beyond just snapping the image. So I'm going to try and figure them out here tonight. Play along with me. I'm going to give away a couple of prizes. One will be given away tomorrow, and that one is okay. I'm actually looking. They're both going to be given away on Thursday morning. So play along. I'll grab at random from anyone who guesses what these are. What I have called the engaged bundle. Covenant Communications again very generously sent me this arc of Engaging Emma, which comes out next month. It's from a brand new author, L.M. Adams. It's a contemporary romance. It looks fantastic. And I decided it would be fun to put together a whole bundle on this theme. So again, I went shopping and it was delightful. I'm going to include in this also a copy of Otherwise Engaged by Joanna Barker. I'll be doing a signing with her and Esther Hatch and Sean Bessie in Rexburg, Idaho at 4:00 this Saturday at the Deseret Book there. So Otherwise Engaged and An Engagement of Sorts by Aline Wecker. A fantastic book, came out not too terribly long ago. If you haven't read it yet, you absolutely should. So that is our engaged bundle that's going to go to someone who plays along with the emoji game in the comments. And because I want to give away two, someone else who plays along is going to win a copy of a book that just came out, I want to say a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, from Rebecca Connolly. She was in the Her Country Gentleman Georgian collection with me that came out in March, but she just released this. It's a historical novel about the Carpathia. That was the ship that came to the rescue when the Titanic was sinking. So really, really exciting. I'm giving away that one too, A Brilliant Night of Stars and Ice. So those two will go to two lucky winners who play along in the emoji game with me. I'll announce those on Thursday. So let's get going. I'm going to pop up what I was given. All right, so here's our first one. So we have a guy and a ship and a party and a girl and music and love. Two girls and crying. And no leg and a diamond and a heart. Guys, I don't know what this one is. All I can think is the no leg. Maybe it's Stanley. Maybe it's for love or honor because he lost his leg in the war. Do you think maybe? Because he does come back on a ship and she's happy to see him. They go to like the theater or a concert or something. And she's really sad. Could that be it? Maybe? Do you think? Okay, that's what I'm seeing guesses in the comments. I think that's it. Josie, if you're on here, let us know if I got that right because I'm not entirely sure. Okay, let's try the next one. Okay, this one's from Christy Fuller. Two police officers. I think that's a bank, a couple, and a heart. Oh, I know what this is. Okay, this is Sheriffs of Savage Wells because you have the two, a female and a male. Yeah, police officers. They're sheriffs, but yeah. There's going to be a heist at the bank, they're pretty sure. So they have to join forces. And in the end, they fall in love because that's the way I do it. Did you guys guess that as well? Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. All right, let's see what's next. Okay. I have a guy in a house, scared and a ghost and angry. And shaking hands. Still the ghost, but oh, okay. I know this one. This is an unlikely match, right? Because the guy inherits a house and, oh no, it's haunted. And the ghost is mad, but then they kind of come to a truce. And in the end, the ghost and the guy are in love. If you haven't read that one yet, you should. It's a good book. All right. Did you guys get that one as well? Yeah. All right. I had to keep jumping back and forth between putting up the emoji and looking at your comments. This is a fun idea to play with your own book club, to have people try to explain. Maybe if you're doing a specific book, have them try to get you to guess a scene from that book or a character based on emojis. It's really fun. All right, let's see what's next from Marianne Darrington. Okay, Christmas tree and a castle and a family. Okay, the older couple falling in love and a little baby. This has to be Christmas at Fallstone Castle, right? Because this is literally exactly what happens in the book. So fantastic. If you haven't read that one yet, it's in the All Hearts Come Home for Christmas anthology from a couple of years ago. It's also in the Lancaster box set. So fabulous. Okay, here's another one. Okay, a thinking emoji, and a girl, and a no. Sorry, can you hear my dog? He's going crazy. Come here, bud. There, come on. Okay, see if he'll be quiet if he's sitting right next to me. I don't know what this one is. I'm gonna hop over here and see if anyone has a guess. Oh, Charlotte is guessing that maybe it's Forget Me Not. Because, like, I forgot something, and then a person, and then not. I think you're right. Okay, Charlotte, that is fabulous. Okay, a lot of people are guessing that one. Okay, I think that's right. That went totally over my head. Like, whoosh. Man. Okay, you guys are so much smarter than I am. All right, I've got a couple more. All right, here's our next one. Okay, a dude and a girl, marriage, I'm guessing is what the church is for. A needle and thread letter. Oh, this has to be Charming Artemis, right? The dude and the girl, and even the right hair color, because we know that Charlie's hair has a little bit of red in it. Not like mine, but a little bit of red in it, especially compared to his brothers. We know she has blonde hair. They do get married pretty early on in that book because they have to. She sews and makes clothing. There are letters play a huge role in that book. There's a scene that revolves entirely around letters. And in the end, we have the moment where Sorrel finally accepts the mobility aid that her brothers-in-law have created for her. That was a very poignant scene for me to write. Many of you know I am an ambulatory wheelchair user. I use a wheelchair a portion of the time, and it really was a hard thing to wrap my mind around when I first made that shift in my life. For whatever reason, I was very, very hesitant, and now I don't know why I waited so long. It's incredible. It gives me a freedom I wouldn't have otherwise. But it was, like I said, a poignant scene for me to write because I've lived that moment, and yeah, to see it unfold. Okay, one more. Like I said, your guesses, I will go through and draw winners of those 2 prizes, and those will post on Thursday. So here we go. Oh, this was the first one again. Well, good job, Josie. We know what the answer is now, right? Forget Me Not. Not Forget Me Not. Oh my gosh, For Love or Honor. They both start with an F. Threw me off. Okay, so that other one was our last one. Let me pop up and take it off. All right, emoji game. I love the emoji game. All right. Okay, so fantastic. I'll draw winners from amongst everyone who played along. The dog is feeling a lot better. You'll be happy to know he's sitting partially on my lap. He's old and needy. All right. Oh, Carol wants to know what's the name of your chair. I have a manual wheelchair that I call Buddy. I've had him the longest. He goes with me a lot of places. I now have oh, my name is escaping me. A motorized chair that I use now as well, especially when I'm on trips. It gets me around a lot easier, and I call it Chairly instead of Charlie. It was suggested to me by someone in the comments where I'd posted that I'd gotten a new chair and needed a name for it, and it cracks me up every time. So Chairly and I are going to just start doing some traveling here. So I'm excited. But there you go. The emoji game is hilarious. You can play it with your family. You can play it in your book clubs. It's one of my favorite games that we play. All right. So that's gotten us through that. I've got one more preview I'm going to do, and then we're going to toss it over to question and answer. This last preview is going to be from The Bachelor and the Bride. This is also one where I will draw winners on Thursday morning. And this one's going to be a little bit harder. And because it is, the prize I have for it is a little bit bigger. I'm going to grab it and show it to you. The Bachelor and the Bride is the 4th in my Dread Penny Society series. And so the person who can guess this correctly, I'm going to draw at random from amongst everyone who did, will receive The Lady and the Highwayman, book 1, The Gentleman and the Thief, book 2, The Merchant and the Rogue, book 3, and an arc of The Bachelor and the Bride, book 4. So you get this Dread Penny Society bundle for guessing this correctly. If you already have some of those, you can always split them up amongst your best friends. But those are going to go out to the person who can get this right. So here is our preview, and I've had to edit this a little bit so it doesn't give it away. Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to tell me who is the orphan, I can tell you that much, who is talking with Doc and Anna in this excerpt. You have, over the course of the series, met a lot of them, so figuring out which one it is could be a little bit tough. Here we go. Several months earlier, the Dread Penny Society had facilitated the escape of a particularly mischievous young orphan. She was well known to all the Dreadfuls, yet all of them looked as shocked as Barnabas felt seeing her rushing toward them. Anna intercepted her. Is something the matter? Bob's your knuckle climbed in the window at the house, saying Ollie sent him to say Miss Vera needs to see Doc at her place. Did Bob's your knuckle say if Ollie said the need was an urgent one? Barnabas asked. The girl nodded. Seemed to think you ought to skip over straight off. Is someone ill or injured? I ain't a newspaper, Doc. I ain't got all the gossip. So there you go. That is a little bit of an excerpt from Bachelor and the Bride. There are some clues there to help you out, but it's a little bit harder. So pop your guesses in the comment section. That's one that I will draw Thursday morning for that Dread Penny Society bundle. So that is the games and the guesses, etc. that I had planned. So moving forward, we're going to do a question and answer for a little while here. I figure we could probably go on all night, but we're going to keep it somewhat within the bounds of the correct length for the night. So pop your questions into the comments and I will answer them for the next little while. I know a lot of you are still putting in your guesses for the preview there, but pop them on in. Marin wants to know, will all the gents books have a kissing scene in a closet? Noticed that theme, did you? Lucas and Julia was definitely in a closet. Kes and Violet were in sort of a larger room type closet. So maybe with each book, the closet just gets bigger. I don't know. I can't say for sure they will all kiss in a closet, but I have been made to promise they will at least all kiss. And that is sometimes a hard thing for me. So, okay. Kimberly wants to know, will we see more of the Regency characters as kids in the Gents book? Yeah, there's more of that coming. You're going to get to see a lot of Easter eggs into these stories. Carissa wants to know, what is the age difference between Georgie and Adam? Georgie is a little bit older than Adam. I think it's like a year or a year and a half. They're very, very, very close in age. And she wants to know if we're going to see Georgie in other books. Yes, you are going to get to see her again. So I'm glad people liked her because she shows up again too. So, all right. Barbie wants to know what the next Gents book is. I can't tell you that because that was one of the trivia guest questions for tonight, but I will let you know before the end of the week. At the beginning of Lily of the Valley, they refer to Lucas and Julia's visit with the Harrow set. Who is that referring to? That is referring to the story in this book Adam was staying at a boarding school outside of Harrow at this time, and he came to visit Lucas and Julia. So that is what that's referring to. Laura wants to know how many Dread Penny Society books will there be, if you're allowed to tell us. I am actually allowed to tell you. There will be 5. So there's one more after The Bachelor and the Bride. And I'm really excited. Ashley wants to know when we're getting more on Finbar. I don't know. All I can promise you is that you will get a story for Finbar. I just don't know when it will come. Nikki wants to know, did you name Violet first, or did you create the scene when Kes declares his love for her first? Because her name plays into that. I named her first. And little trivia, originally the name of the book was going to be Sweet Violet, because that's a variety of violet. But as I got to that scene and realized he would never describe her as a violet because he sees her as Lily of the Valley, I knew the name of the book had to change. So fantastic. Virginia wants to know, how do you find so many of your research materials, like the book published in the 1770s about fire and all of that? I have subscriptions to a lot of archives and to a lot of like historical libraries and places where I can get those kind of books and that kind of information. A lot of that is available, again, through archives, through museums. You can find some through, like, the Gutenberg Project has digitized a lot of really old books. You can find them there too. So Lisa wants to know, will they play hide and seek again? I will tell you this. There is a game of hide and seek in the next Gents book. Because Lucas and Julia, anytime someone says, hey, we should play a game, they're like, hide and seek. Every time, it. So yeah, it comes up there. Let's see, where are we? Carissa wants to know, are all the Jonquil boys named after the Gents in some way? There is a connection to the Gents amongst all of the Jonquil boys. All of them. Some of them aren't as easy to see, but they're all there. So, woohoo. Okay. Let's see. How did you come up with the Gents nicknames? That was really, really fun. By the time I came up with them, I had already really done a lot of work on who they were as characters, figuring out their background, figuring out who they were. And the nicknames grew out of that. I knew they had come up with them early in their days at Cambridge. So they would have been 17, 18, kind of in that age group. What would they have called each other? And the names they called each other had to be something that would stick over time. So they couldn't be overly silly or juvenile, but they needed to fit them as people. So it really grew out of that, just out of knowing who their characters were. How close will the Gents timeline come to the Lancaster Jonquil timeline? I'm trying to do calculations in my head. It comes within 14 to 15 years of the start of the Lancaster series. So not super, super, super close, but close. Jana wants to know if I've written a female character that closely resembles me. I think of my female characters, if you were to take Persephone and Sorrel and Marion and Katie from my Hope Springs series and mix all of them together, you'd pretty much come up with me. Like, those are the characters I think that have the most of me in them. Sabrina wants to know, do we know the children from the other Gents in the Jonquil Lancaster books? Have we seen them before? Will we see them? You have seen some of them. How's that for not telling you anything? You have seen some of them. They are in there. Let's see. When will the next Gents book release? It will, if everything goes well, it would be next year. So everyone cross your fingers, hold your breath, knock on wood. Sarah has to make her deadline. And if I do, probably next year. Fingers crossed. Let's see if I can find some others. Does Adam already know Harry in the Holly and the Ivy book? You're going to find out. How's that for not directly answering your question? Emily wants to know if there are other books in the Sheriff's series that I do. There is another one in the works. So watch for hopefully an announcement on that end sometime soon. I'm the worst about kind of answering questions and then not answering them. Nancy wants to know what other books will release this year. I can tell you that we will get the paperback of The Best Laid Plans. It thus far is just ebook and audio. That is in August. The Bachelor and the Bride is in September. The Holly and the Ivy is in October. And The Best Intentions is in November. So that is the rest of the year, which is going to be crazy. All right. Let's see, what else have we got? Okay, so Sabrina wants to know, when I was first starting this, like all these series, the Jonquils and Lancasters and Gents, which books were you most looking forward to writing? I honestly was excited about all of them because I kind of knew the stories. I knew the characters. I wanted to give them their happy, ever afters and all of that. So I was really excited about all of them. I think the one I was the most nervous about was Charming Artemis, because I knew it would wrap up these two series. There'd be very, very high expectations, and it's kind of impossible to live up to expectations that are that high. And I was really nervous about Forget Me Not, because you take these two characters where we've met Mater, but as a much more mature woman who's lived life, who's learned things along the way, who's wiser than she obviously would have been 25 years earlier. And I wasn't sure that people would be kind to her in seeing her as she's gaining some of this wisdom rather than after she already has it. And introducing people to the real person behind the really precious memories that the boys have of their dad. It's always tough when you're introducing people to someone they have sort of an idealized version of, because they're going to discover that they're human and they get things wrong. And you're meeting them as much younger people before they've learned some things along the way. So those are the ones I think I was the most nervous about. And some people absolutely fulfilled the prophecies behind that nervousness, because I did get some of those exact complaints. But I think for the most part, people really, really liked them. So Amanda wants to know if there's a gents book you're looking the most forward to writing. There are aspects of all of them I'm really excited about. I can tell you there are some very interesting things that happen in this time period in history that I'm excited to get to weave into these stories. So keep that in mind, because all of that is coming. Sabrina wants to know, is there another time period or location you'd like to write in that you haven't? I would love to go even further back in history. Right now, as far back as I go is the 1780s. I'd love to jump back into the 1600s. I have some story ideas there, but I would need a couple years at least to do the research for that. So, okay, Julie wants to know, did you know the Gent stories before you wrote the Lancaster series? I knew the basics of the Gents stories before I wrote them. I didn't have the exact details, but I knew the overall, who these people were, kind of what their connection was, the basics of what happened during this time period. So there we go. Matisse wants to know, what was the first... Okay, she says, I think you came up with Charming Artemis first, but if not, what was the first in the series? Or is there any other book story you came up with before the Jonquil and Lancaster series? The very, very, very first one I wrote was Kiss of a Stranger. And from that, while I was writing it, the Jonquil and Lancaster series began to form in my mind as I was fleshing out the universe in which they occur. And as I was fleshing that out, I realized I had to know what happened in the generation before. And so the Gent series started to fill in. I also needed to know where these families were going down the road so that I could see how their individual stories were part of that journey. So I started figuring out the Huntress's books. I also started figuring out in my mind what happens with the next generation of those families and the next one. So it started with The Kiss of a Stranger, and it all kind of exploded at the same time. So depending on how long I have, we could have generations of these families that you'll get to know, which would be fantastic. So Emily wants to know, would you ever write something in a genre that is not a historical romance? I would love to write historical fiction. So not necessarily a romance, but telling about a time period in history, about an era, kind of setting a book there, exploring some different things. So I would love, 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 love to do that. I have tried my hand at contemporary romance and it was painful to write. And I am convinced it was probably painful to read too. So, other than the occasional short story in an anthology, I don't know if you're going to ever get a contemporary from me. We'll see. All right. Sabrina wants to know, will you ever write more characters from other countries, especially in like the Jean-Paul Lancaster Gents series? Like Mariposa being from Spain. That was such a fun book to research, learn more about Spain, especially Spain at that time. You are going to get, I know off the top of my head, of people from at least 2, maybe 3 other countries who are going to come into this as well. So yes, there is more of that coming, which is really fun for me, not only to do the research, but then I have a chance to reach out to people who are actually from those countries and that area of the world and get to know them and their culture and where they live and the love that people have for that. I love learning about places and times and cultures from the people who love them. So that's really fun for me. Rebecca says she'd read anything with fantasy or horror from me. I don't know if I could write horror. I can't watch horror. I'm such a baby when it comes to horror. I might be able to try something with fantasy. I had ghosts in An Unlikely Match, right? And there is fantasy and kind of horror elements in the Penny Dreadfuls inside my Dread Penny Society books. So I don't know, maybe some of that could tiptoe its way out. Oh, and Laura points out that Scott and Sarah came from America. So yeah, I'd forgotten. I had Americans. Okay, Carissa says Julia wears black in the Jonquil series. Is this more in remembrance of her wedding day and thinking of Lucas in that way, as opposed to just being mourning? You know, it's less sad and more of a happy memory. Yes. Of course, when she first started wearing black, it was in mourning. And to a degree, she wears it because she still mourns him. But she continued it past the initial mourning stage because it reminded her of her wedding day. And Lucas told her so many times over their marriage how hilarious that was. That he loved that moment from her. And it was a moment in which she was, with the voice she had, because women didn't have a lot of choices or a lot of power at that time. She let her needs and thoughts and opinions be known. And he loved that about her, that she found a way to have a voice in a time that took voices from women all the time. So yes, a lot of it is in memory of that day. It's in honor of the man that he was and the way he loved who she was and the person that she was and kind of the life they built together. So yes, some of it is mourning. A big part of it is that happy memory that she has. And then of course, by the time we meet her, she's been doing this for 15 years or 10 years, and then it continues on. So part of it also is that's just what she has. But yeah, so it's happier than it seems when we first find out about it in Friends and Foes. Jessica says, do you keep physical or electronic notebooks on each character of your book? I have physical notebooks that everything is in, but at the behest of my husband, who is a computer guy, I have made digital copies of them all because otherwise something could happen to them and then they're just gone. So yes, everything has to be written down. It's too much to keep track of. Mara wants to know, does Julia wear all black or is it dark gray also? Yes, she does have some clothes that are more half mourning, where they're dark gray or it's black with like silver running through it. She even has some that are really, really dark gray with some purple in it, because purple was considered an appropriate color for mourning. But yeah, black and like darker gray. And Marin points out in Lily of the Valley, when Julia was said to be dressed in black, was that their anniversary? Yeah, she likes to wear black on their anniversary just as a reminder of that moment. Okay, Sabrina wants to know if I have pictures of character models that I based Kes and Violet off of and the other gents. I do. I don't have it out, though. Maybe I'll share that for Cutting Room Floor tomorrow. I have pictures that I used as sort of my inspiration for Kes and Violet. They're not exact, but kind of had the right feel. So I'll share those tomorrow. Fantastic question. All right. I'm trying to look and see what time it is. 7:05. Let's do just a couple more questions and then we can wrap it up and let you guys get on with your day or your evening. Natalie wants to know, why was lavender considered appropriate for mourning since it's a pastel color? I can tell you I'm not 100% sure why. I know that it was appropriate for half mourning. You couldn't wear it when you were in deepest mourning, but it was one of the colors that was considered appropriate for half mourning. I'm not entirely sure why. I'll tell you that straight out. I just know that it was. Um, let's see. Oh, Matisse says this isn't related to any books, but is my husband still in the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square? He is. He's been in for 5 or 6 years now. He loves it. It's one of his favorite things. Um. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is a really good question. This could also be a good cutting room floor. Maybe I'll do it again sometime for anyone who wasn't here. Whitney wants to know, is Caroline the heir to the Farland title, or is it Henry? It will be Henry. Even titles that could be inherited by a woman would almost without exception, to the point that I can almost say without exception, but almost, a woman could not inherit a title that a man had an equal claim to. So even though they're both children of the person who will inherit it, she couldn't inherit it over her brother, even though she's older. And there's a whole thing that goes along with if a woman can inherit a title and there's more than one woman with an equal claim, what happens to a title in that situation? And yeah, it gets super, super, super complicated. But the quick answer to that is Henry will inherit the Farland title. Caroline could only inherit it if there was literally no one else who could claim it. And that's just not the case in that family. So there you go. Good question. Okay, one last one. Leslie wants to know, would you ever write the family in Edwardian times, so the early 1900s? That could be really fun. It takes us several generations removed, but I could do it. Like, it's just a matter of how much time I have to write all of these stories, right? Especially if we take them into the start of World War I, because so much changed amongst the landed gentry and the aristocracy at that time. So you'd see big changes in the family. Oh, Carissa says, I love that Julia found out about the Farland title in this book. I love Lucas. He is so scatterbrained at times. For me, I 100% have written him to, if he lived now, would 100% be diagnosed with ADHD. And he's based on the ADHD that runs in my family. I see it all the time. So it's someone who means well, but literally the brain doesn't always remember what it has done and what it hasn't. So Julia is always finding out about things that he thinks he told her about and he didn't. And they're figuring it out. But I love that moment where she's like, you got to tell me these things. He's like, I don't forget on purpose. But yeah, love that, right? Okay. Oh, one more. I just have to answer one more question. Sabrina is asking, will Caroline's generation get their own series? I am hoping to do that because I know what it is. I know what it is. I know what their stories are. So I'd love to write that. Oh, okay. A lot of people are saying, I kind of guessed that Lucas had ADHD. Yeah, he does. Right. And you kind of love that about him. But it's been fun to write him to reflect what I see in my own family because ADHD runs in my family. So that's been really fantastic. All right. So thank you so much for all of the questions. I know I didn't get to all of them. I didn't want this to run too long because we are already over an hour. As a quick reminder, I will announce the winners that I haven't drawn yet on Thursday morning. That includes those of you who make a guess for who the next gent is. The winner of that will get their name or some variation on it in the next gent's book. Your book club roll call, I will be giving away I will meet with your book club at some point for some book down the road, whatever you choose, and we can discuss it or just do a general Q&A about books. And all the other giveaways that I haven't yet done tonight will be drawn on Thursday morning. So if you're joining us after the fact, go ahead and comment. I'm going to draw it from everyone who comments between now and Thursday morning. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I feel like we had a good turnout. I hope it was a fun night for everyone. And thank you so much for such a fun release month. I feel like this is us kind of wrapping it up, and it's been a lot of fun. Can't wait for the next one and for the next release later this year. So thanks again. Have a lovely night, and we'll see you next time.